you know that in 2003, 77% of all children under the age of 6 watched television every single day, and children under the age of 2 got 2 hours and 5 minutes of screen time a day? And also in a study done on preschoolers, it was said that they have a 6% more chance of being likely of them being overweight from watching too much television, and if they had a television set in their bedroom, that increased the chances by 31%. Also, it is important to be educated on this matter because children under the age of 2 should not be watching any television whatsoever, and children over that age should only be getting 1 to 2 hours a day of educational and interactional screen time because it can affect their ability to develop mentally, socially, and physically. Also, according to John Medina, the more TV a child watches, they have a 10% more likely chance of having ADHD from all the television that they watch. I'll first start out by talking about some of the different ways that children can be affected, their development can be affected by watching too much television, and then I'll talk about some of the ways that they can become more violent from television, and lastly, I will explain some of the ways we can prevent or at least lessen the child's screen time. So according to Dr. Jane Healy, who is an environmental psychologist in her book, Endangered Minds, although children can be learning a lot about the real world from different TV shows, they won't be able to learn a lot about the social standards and everything around them, and they won't be able to have a good attention span and won't be able to express themselves in reading and writing. And like I said earlier, there's a greater chance of them becoming overweight, and there was a study done on commercials in 2010, and it said that 4 out of 5 of every commercial that a child watches is advertising some kind of an unhealthy food. And in this graph right here, it says that children ages 2 to 7 see about 12 food ads per day, for a total of 4,400 a year. That totals up to 29 hours a year. Children ages 8 to 12 see 21 food ads per day, which totals up to 7,600 food ads a year, for a total of 50 hours a year. And then children ages 13 to 17 see 17 food ads per day, which totals up to 6,100 food ads per year, for a total of 40 hours. Also, according to John Medina, though, they won't be able to develop socially because they won't be spending a lot of time with their family and friends around them, so they won't be able to develop an understanding for the world, and especially since television is two-dimensional, they won't be able to, they won't be as mobile, and it can reduce eye movement and also alter brain waves, which can all decrease coordination. And it's not only affecting on the brain and their development, it can also affect their actions, and children are more likely to be violent if they watch too much television. And in 1996, there was a study done, and it found that 57% of the content in all TV shows was portrayed violent or risky behaviors. And from 2001 to 2006, 30% children were exposed to 31% more alcohol ads, as according to the Center of Alcohol Marketing and Youth. Also, they found out that in a study done on the average child, they see between 1,000 to 2,000 beer and liquor commercials each and every year. And they've been doing studies for over 50 years trying to find out just to what extent children's violence was affected by television. And it was found that children see over 400 murders and hear over 1 million cuss words just by the time that they are 5 years old. And also another one of the studies done was a study done in Finland on a group of 5 to 6-year-olds by Kaj Bajorkvis. And what he did was he took half of the group and they watched a non-violent movie, and then the other half watched a violent movie, and then he put them all in a group together to play. And after they had observers come in and watch who hadn't known that they had watched these movies, and they were supposed to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 on how violent they were, and it turned out that the children who had watched the violent movies were rated much more aggressive than those who hadn't. Also, by the time the average child is 18 years old, they will have seen over 200,000 acts of violence on the television. So, although there's a lot of different ways that children can be affected by television, there's also a lot of precautions that can be taken. One of them would just be to encourage children to go outside and spend more time developing hobbies and doing other sports, and even being inside reading and doing homework and playing board games and anything like that. So you might wonder how much television is considered okay, and I kind of said a little bit about it earlier, but for children under the age of 2, the answer is none. They shouldn't be watching any television at all, because this is the time that they need to be exploring the world around them and developing an understanding for that. And for children over that age, they should only be watching 1 to 2 hours a day of educational and interactional shows. There are also many different small measures that can be taken to help a child from watching too much television, and one of them would be to make sure you aren't saying one thing but doing another and setting a good example. If you're telling children not to watch too much television, then you shouldn't either. And then also keep TVs out of rooms and keep them off when they aren't being watched, and especially during meal times, and also to make sure that you know what the children are watching and that it's appropriate, and set a rule on when TV can and can't be watched. Also, another one that's really important is to not try to use television as a downtime, because it actually stimulates their brain activity and can shorten their attention spans, which can lead to ADHD. And the last one, which is also really important, is to talk to them about some of the things that they might see on the television and make sure that they know that some of them are misleading and can be harmful. So although there are many different ways that kids can be affected by television, whether they're exposed too early or too much, there's a lot of different precautions that can be taken. So it helps make sure that the kids in your life don't watch too much television by taking these precautions.